Let me fix my door real quick, but other than that, we're good to go. All right, let's hit live. Oh shit, we already hit live. Oh fuck me.
You already did hit live.
All right,
Thank
fuck
you.
it. What's good, everybody? We are live. It is the Believe in the Southside podcast. I am Steve-O. I am joined by my co-host. That is Carrie at That Baseball Fan on Twitter. I am Steve-O at Drunk Shy Sox Fan on Twitter. I've been drinking tonight, but I am good. Joining us is a very special guest, and I'm very happy to have him on with us. It is the one, the only, the Jordan Miller. Jordan, thank you for
Hi
joining
everyone.
us,
I
brother.
killed
Is
Tupac.
his
Oh,
is
he
his
just
internet
admitted it
working,
right off the
or
bat.
is my internet working? Nope. Okay.
No, you're good. Your internet's working. Jordan just admitted to killing Tupac. So, and Carrie is off with us. All right, we're up. We're running. Carrie is off. We'll figure him out in a second. Jordan, how you doing, by the way?
I'm doing well. Been better. But I'm just pretty desperate to find out what's going on with our beloved White Sox. I want to see who our manager's going to be. I want to see what happens after the 10 days go by after World Series if AJ Pollock's going to opt in, because that will give us an idea of what we have to spend and what we're going to do this offseason. That's the first thing I've had to figure out.
Trust me, Jordan. I have been thinking the exact same thing. Hopefully, we can get Carrie to pop back into the stream and up and running. It looks like he's with us.
I think I'm good.
Awesome. I think we're up and running. Yes, I'm feeling very good. Hopefully, Carrie's feeling very
My
good.
shit's
Jordan,
choppy. Hold on.
I know you're always feeling very good, Jordan. So I'm
Gary,
glad
fix
you're
your
with us.
shit.
I know, right? Fucking Carrie out here that always wants to flaunt his wealth over me. Apparently, can't have a consistent running internet. So, Jordan, let me ask you the question: outside of White Sox baseball, how you doing? How you feeling?
I mean, good. You just asked me that already.
All right. What's new? Tell us more.
I don't know. I think I might have won my fantasy football leagues today.
You know what? That's always good news. I'll tell you that much, because I will tell you that much. I don't
Try
think
and
I'm
enjoy the rest
winning.
of my weekend before I have work tomorrow. That's really it.
There you go. I don't think I'm winning any of my fantasy football leagues, so kudos to you. Yes, and kudos to Brian. Yes, I do not have a mic stand. I mean, I do, but it's really flimsy. I bought it off $3. I bought a $3 or $4 mic stand off of Amazon. It's not very functional. So you know
What's
what?
it for $3 to $4?
Exactly. That's exactly what you get for paying what I spent for it. So do you want... Jordan, do you know what we are? What kind of podcast are we?
A White Sox podcast?
We're a White Sox podcast. So fuck it. Even though Carrie is figuring out his internet problems right now, let's talk White Sox baseball, or at least baseball in general. Let's start with baseball in general. So first and foremost, Jordan, what are your thoughts on the NLCS so far? Because I feel like what's going on right now has been very interesting within the NLCS. So go ahead and give us some insight into what you've seen so far.
Bryce Harper is very good. We should have spent paying him what he wanted and locked the door during the winter meetings and don't leave out a contract.
Yeah. It'd be really nice that the White Sox, offered this contract off to somebody like Bryce Harper or Manny Machado, considering that Manny Machado was almost a 7B WAR player this year. And we got Bryce Harper, who is absolutely raking in the playoffs, batting like 500 in the playoffs. But you know what? Such is life.
I'm back.
It's nice to have you back, Carrie.
Yeah,
Thank you
I'm
very
back.
much for joining the fucking airwaves. I really appreciate it.
I just
With
had to
your-
go downstairs to where the internet
Terry,
was. So.
You're very consistent internet here.
I can quote my friend Steven say, I have poor internet. And, because when you make shitty food, you say you're poor. So.
Right. So we were asking about our NLCS observation so far, Carrie. Have you observed anything in particular that is consistent amongst the NLCS?
Bryce Harper got a nice size, thing in between his pants, but it's all about superstars, so far in the NL. I mean, you had Machado, Harper. I mean, either one of those guys would have helped. But nice to see the Phillies who've got decent pitching. I've been talking to Alex Rude about this, about how I thought the Phillies were going to beat the Padres just because of like their first couple starters are just, between Wheeler, Nola, Ranger Suarez, you have some really solid pitching.
Absolutely. And that
Agreed.
bullpen,
The Miller
that
Driller is
bullpen
huge.
in Philly has been absolutely amazing. So, there's comments, off task a little bit before we transition to the ALCS. We're at a 3-1 series right now in regard to the NLCS, with Game 5 rolling back to San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. There's comments here about the Miller Driller. Jordan, would you like to comment on the Miller Driller?
That's kind of private. I kind of want to keep it off this podcast.
You know what? I appreciate that. There's also a lot of
that stays in the alpha males chat.
You know what? That is true.
What's
It's
that?
in the alpha males chat. Would you like to explain on that?
Maybe one day you'll find out, Kerry.
The alpha males chat? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, fair. There is some Jew love in the comments as well. I can't not comment on that. Jordan and Gary, would you like to remark on some pride for the tribe, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. Shalom. Thank you very much, Senor. Baruch Hashem.
He probably doesn't understand what you mean.
I don't even know
I'm
what
sure
I just
you
said.
do.
I stopped being able to read Hebrew after my bar mitzvah, so I'm pretty clueless too. But I can
All right,
do a Passover Seder a little bit.
And a quick question from the comments, Jordan. Just non-baseball talk here. What's bigger, your cock or your nose?
Definitely my cock.
I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear. I don't know what TM Steve is back.
Oh, that's your new nickname because you love drama. So instead of TMZ, it's TM Steve.
TM, I like that.
I came up with that for you.
That's
you
good.
Like that?
I appreciate that. I'm all about the drama. I know you wanted to talk at White Sox baseball, Gary, but we got the other 23 plus minutes of this podcast to talk about that. Yes, we know that Kanye hates both of you. Both of you, not just Carrie, but both of you.
These comments are hilarious.
I appreciate Brian here in the comments to absolutely rip apart.
I think
both
this
of
is
you.
for Jordan.
Yes,
nothing more alpha than whipping
alpha
it out.
should absolutely whip it out. So Carrie or Jordan, if
No,
you are
Jordan.
an alpha, you should absolutely just lay it on the table right now. It's great to have people in the comments. This is obviously probably the largest comment section, Carrie, that we've had since our first episode. So I'm very happy to know that. Jordan, you bring in the people. Just know that. You bring in the people.
I told you I increase ratings. Bring me on.
Yes, absolutely. You do. Show us the t-shirt, by the way. What do you got going on right there? What do you got on the t-shirt?
I'm sporting the Rick Hahn shirt right now.
Oh, what the fuck?
You're sporting the Rick Hahn shirt. Tell me why. Tell me why, at least.
Because it could go either way. This shirt can be pro or not for Rick Hahn, so it can go either way. But this is his winter to shine to win back the fans' trust.
I mean that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, let's get into some hot baseball discussion so we think we can keep the fans on the air so that we're not drawn away. We don't lose
Yeah, now
viewership.
Gabe is competition now, apparently.
As you can see from the comment space below, Luke said he might leave us for a scheduled Gabe space here,
Which is very understandable.
I mean, I understand there's a lot more entertainment there than there is here, but let's try and keep some people here. So we try to talk White Sox baseball. So Jordan, you know what? One thing that I like to ask our guests in general is their White Sox baseball story. Can you tell me a little bit about how you became a White Sox fan, how you got drawn into this bullshit?
Well, I mean, I really didn't get into baseball until like the late 90s because I was more growing up watching the Bulls and Michael Jordan dynasty. So around I would say I was around 9 years old that first year, 2000, when we had the last insular hire, Jerry Manuel, as our manager. And I watched that 2000 team go to the playoffs and get swept by the Mariners in the first round. And that's kind of where it started. I went to a bunch of games that season. I remember 03 was fun one when we had Maggie Ordonez on a walk for nothing.
You like Billy
And-
Koch?
Oh yeah, that was horrible. That was one part of 03 I hated though too. Like I used to boo him from the when I was in my seats and stuff. And then we traded Carlos Lee for Scott Pasednik in 04. I was like, what are we doing? And then we go on
And
this
got rid of
crazy
Maglio.
run.
Yep.
Yeah, and got rid of Maglie. Yeah, win a World Series and
They sucked you in, right?
yep. And then it had a mediocre 90. We had 2006 where we won over 90 games, didn't make the playoffs.
Yep.
2008 gave us hope. We had the blackout game and maybe won one playoff game against the Rays, and then didn't really see any hope till 2012 until we almost made it with Robert Ventura's first year. And then we've been mediocre until 2016, and we
Yep.
and only a jackass to trade Tatis for James Shields, Rick Hahn.
There you go. There's your guy.
So
Yeah.
Won't be,
at least you don't, Jordan. At least you don't have a podcast named after Rick Hahn, though.
Exactly. All I'm hearing is that you're right in the mediocrity, though, right?
pretty much, I mean, in 2016 when he gave that mired or mediocre speech, I didn't think we'd be in the same spot in 2022. I really thought that once we had that off season, man, got Yasmani Grandal, even though we missed on Zach Wheeler, but plan B was Dallas
Because of his
Keuchel.
wife, right?
We don't know though. We don't know if it's true. It could have been MSU Sports could have made that up. We'd have no idea. We only know if 125 mil was the real offer. Who knows?
Probably not.
Plan B was Dallas Keuchel and Gio Gonzalez. So
Fair enough. Well, hey, if we want to talk White Sox,
Oh, I thought you were going to say that they're going to talk Plan B. That's a whole different conversation. Go ahead. Steve.
That's true. I mean, I know all about Plan B, so we're not going to discuss.
we don't
that.
need to know that, Steve.
So you know what? I just want to let our viewers know and create the drama. So
TM
you know,
Steve.
Tell me more, Jordan, about White Sox free agent acquisitions and what your hopes are for the offseason. Because right now, obviously, you're telling me that your hope is in Rick Hahn. Your hope is that the White Sox are going to do something in the offseason. Tell me, what gives you that hope and what they're going to do.
Well, I don't trust this guy anymore. I think I held on a little bit too long because pretty much the 2021 offseason and then not doing anything at the deadline really hurt my soul with this guy. So I have zero faith in the guy. But if they get a real manager that's not insular like Espada, Rapero, you'd think they would at least try and have a good offseason because why would you give that new manager nothing to work with? So, but like I said, first order of business when I started this podcast, we got to see 10 days after the World Series if AJ Pollock opts in because that will determine what you have to spend because that's either 13 mil on or off the payroll. So, and we already know Jose Abreu ain't coming back. It's been pretty evident based on what we've heard. So, I mean, if you were to keep him, Andrew Vaughn or Eloy Jimenez has to go, but we don't want that. So,
I don't think Eloy's going anywhere.
Well, I mean, let me ask you that, Jordan. Do you think that Jose Abreu is gone out the window? Au revoir. We'll see you later. Sayonara. And then if they do, what are the White Sox going to do with that money? I mean, what do you think?
I think he is gone because I just don't think I don't think it's really makes sense because they're not going to get the return on Vaughn or Eloy to even place them or even make the team any better. So it really doesn't make any sense. Although I'm not really sure that they just go out and trade Vaughn right afterwards because he's a first baseman and you really haven't seen what you got in him yet because you've been playing him in the outfield and he gets worn out by August because of too much outfield play. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we've seen his true potential yet. I mean, if you want to go the Josh Bell, Anthony Rizzo route, sure, but I don't see that being a thing.
Why don't you see Anthony Rizzo to the White Sox being a thing? I mean, I agree with you, but I want to hear your take first before I throw in my 2 cents.
Well, first off, he's got to opt out of his contract. $16 million, I think he might try. So, and Well, the White Sox have a $700,000 man in Andrew Vaughn, who's like a lot cheaper. So they'll probably go that route and hopefully improve on the areas.
I absolutely agree. Why would they spend at first base when they already have this influx of guys that can already play first base, aka Andrew Vaughn and Gavin Sheets in particular? Right, you got a right-handed bat, you got a left-handed bat. Why would you sign a guy like Anthony Rizzo? I mean, yes, Anthony Rizzo raking it over the right field wall, the short right field wall where the wind blows right in guaranteed rate field would feel absolutely awesome, right? But what is the major need that the White Sox have right now in their lineup? And I think both of you can answer this,
bats.
right? A lefty bat, but where in particular in the lineup? Go ahead.
Well,
everywhere.
You can get lefty in other areas, Steve.
I agree. Where, Jordan?
Well, first off, you already have two on the team who underperformed horribly this year, but you're still going to have them next year in Yoel Moncada and Yasmani Grandal making $35 million collectively. So your only hope is that they bounce back and do what we thought they could do. Grandal at 34, with bad knees as the catcher. I think that's more or less likely than Moncada. I do think Moncada will bounce back if he has the health. But what you can do, like I said, is I'm all aboard the Nimmo train just like Steve is, and just have him play left field. And if Pollock is your backup outfielder or you platoon, so be it. If you have to DFA him or trade him, so be it. And you can have, it's pretty inedible. Oscar Colas is cheap, so they're going to let him get a fair shot with Gavin Sheets to play right field. So, and they're both left-handed. The kid hit over 20 home runs in the minors at OPS over 800. I think he's going to get a pretty fair shot, and he's going to be going into his age 25 season next year. So you might as well see what you got if you're not going to trade him.
Fair.
We all know Colas is going to be playing right field, but to answer about Rizzo,
he's actually an outfielder, so he might be okay defensively.
Yeah, that's fine and all, and that's just adding another left-handed bat. But why can't you have a Rizzo and get rid of Abreu either way? Like,
or do you see a better?
You can just say Gavin Sheets. Hey, Gavin Sheets. You can just be on the bench. Like, why not have both? Why does Sheets have to play? Like Rizzo or Josh Bell make way too much sense.
Sheets can go in the Myers. He's got options too. I agree with you there. But Eloy is going to be your DH. So, and if you leave Vaughn on the team, where do you play Rizzo or Bell? You got to trade Eloy or Vaughn to make that work.
So, what are your thoughts on Eloy to DH, Colas to the outfield if you're going to start him full time? Because your idea is Colas is going to start in the outfield, right? Regularly.
That's what I think they do, because again, he's $700,000 versus paying $25-30 million a year for Aaron Judge, so it's a cheaper option.
So the idea is Colas to the outfield regularly. Then you've got Luis if he stays healthy in center. So what about your other corner outfield position? I mean, are you still on the idea that Sheets and Vaughn or Sheets in general can play right field, or is this where you're supplementing in free agency?
No, like I said, you got to see what Pollock does with his option. But I say no matter what, you get another outfielder to platoon or play more than him next year, because you know what, he's on your team. You can do what you want. You can spend more money and get Nimmo, Conforto, Jock Peterson, whoever you want to get to play left field. Just have them play there and just have Pollock deal with the playing time he's going to get if he's going to stay on the team.
But the thing with Pollock is he was proven to be a better player when he wasn't an everyday starter.
True. Right? So maybe it's better than having Adam Engel as your backup outfielder. Better having Leury Garcia as your backup outfielder. So you have a guy who can play outfield for you if you have an injury pop up. So.
Yeah. Steve, you like that comment, huh?
If you are... I was dying at Senora's comment. Sorry. I thought that was hilarious. I'm not sure if you saw that, Jordan. Yes.
I'm just seeing the ones that pop up in the corner each time. I'm not really seeing the rolling comments.
Oh, these are good. These are good. So now
the City Connect Southside Key Pies.
Exactly.
I love that too.
Exactly.
I wear it to every game.
I'm dying. So I mean I would too, honestly. Honorary.
You'd need one to hide your bald head.
You know what? Don't hate.
Ah,
That's
there you
wisdom right there.
go.
That's wisdom right there. I'm not sure if Carrie told you or if you heard, but Carrie, tell him what happened at my wedding.
Oh yeah, Steve wanted to be one of our people, Jordan, and he did the hora on the chair.
Yeah, we couldn't do that at our wedding. We didn't have enough space, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, they
So
have to do it for me, but that's why we got a crane to come in just to lift me up. So we'll be okay. Steve likes that because Steve likes to fat shame.
I'm sorry, I'm a big fat shamer apparently. So I'm dying here. That's hilarious. So oh, sorry. Now, so Jordan, if your who is your ideal free agent in the offseason then? I think you're throwing out a lot of speculation here. I want to hear your ideal free agent acquisitions. Say they're within a $30 million per year range, that
I will say before you answer, Jordan, Steve did ask that, and Steve did say his ideal person that he would sign is Aubrey Huff.
that is
So,
hilarious,
Jordan, I
but
know you
also
can confirm that,
incorrect.
Jordan, right?
That is
Did say that.
incorrect.
Just quote him 9 times to have him play all the outfield positions. Quote him 5 more times to have him be all the starting pitchers. And quote him about 8 more times to be all the bullpen pitchers. You have
Yeah.
26 Aubrey Huffs.
And that's what Steve wanted,
No.
by the way.
And maybe
Absolutely.
You have
like
the
6
proof.
spots
You
in the
Jordan
coaching
have the
staff.
proof.
No, there is no
You
proof
like
of
to-
that. You can absolutely throw me under the bus. There's no proof of that, but go ahead.
We'll find a way.
Who's your ideal free agent, Jordan? Also, this is fact, Senior. I do hate Wizzo, actually, by the way.
Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. 'Cause
I
she's not
mean,
bald.
for me, it's Brandon Nimmo. So
There you go. I agree.
I agree.
I mean, you can go the other way and go for Conforto because I mean he didn't play this year, and you might be able to get it cheaper. But I think
Which
Nimmo.
we know the Sox will do.
Yeah, I mean either one works. I mean they're both outfielders, and they're both left-handed. But I'd rather go with Nimmo because he played this year, and we don't know what we're getting out of Conforto after having the shoulder surgery, and we don't know what he is after that. So
Yeah.
and
And he had a down year before, I think.
he had a good second half.
Yeah.
But either way, we don't know. I think we need a starting pitch too, because I'm not depending on Davis Martin as my 5th starter, and I don't know if he's even healthy right now. So I would say, you know what, just make it up to the fans and sign Carlos Rodon back.
Make it up to the fans.
I mean, why? I mean, why when you have outfielders that you can actually supplement this lineup with that are absolutely needed? I mean, run me through what you think the White Sox starting rotation is next year.
Okay, so you got one more year of Lance Lynn.
Oh, you're
Still-
starting there.
Steve doesn't
Okay,
like
go
Lance
ahead.
Lynn because he's large, by the way.
Cushion
Keep
for
going.
the pushing. I mean, I don't hate him, but
This is not in any order. I'm just saying we got him back. We got Dylan Cease. We got Michael Kopech. I think we are giving Lucas Giolito arbitration, but we are listening for offers.
sorry, you're missing your ace.
He
Start
said
from the
Dylan
top,
Cease.
please.
He said Dylan Cease.
He did say Dylan Cease.
did.
missed it. Okay.
Well,
He said
like I said, we
Cease, Giolito.
are gonna give Lucas Giolito his ARB number, but we will listen for trade offers to see if we can get better. But I don't think it makes sense because you're trading him at his lowest value.
Yep.
And we know how Rick Hahn is about evaluating talent. And is he going to sign a starting pitcher that's just as good or better? Because if Giolito shreds the weight, gets his mechanics fixed, he could easily put together a season just as good as Jose Quintana, Tyler Anderson, Chris Bassett, all the options out there on the free agency. And either you lose that trade or you basically break even. So
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I agree. But Rick Hahn already said money is not gonna be how you're gonna solve the issue here.
but who are you?
said it?
I mean,
I
how are
agree.
you gonna get a
Giolito
four-
gets traded.
I mean, Gio's what, a 4 on next year's rotation if you keep everybody, right?
He's a 3 or 4 at this point because I mean that's what we think he's a mid-rotation starter at this point. He's not our ace anymore. He has to prove himself first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right now it's Cease, it's Lynn, who's your three? Giolito right now? Or are
Yeah,
you
because we got to see how Kopech's knee feels in spring training and see how many innings he's ready for.
Yeah, hopefully it's Kopech at 3, and then you've got Giolito at 4, as long as Kopech's healed up the way he needs to be. I mean, are you going to find a 4 at $10 million for a year? You're not, right?
I mean, I'm sure Tyler Anderson or Jose Quintana are worth that, but they could easily perform just as good or worse than Giolito next year if things were to, he really work on his stuff and fix his stuff. And like I said, you trade him, the team that gets him figures it out because they're a smarter org than the White Sox and gets him back to what he was in 19 through 2021. So,
yeah,
worst starter in baseball.
Yeah, worst pitcher in baseball. Now,
yeah.
Our guy Brian in the comments said Crochet is going to get stretched. Do you see Garrett Crochet coming out as a starter in 2023?
Hell no. If he's starting games, he's in AAA doing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree.
And you have three. And what do you have? You have like 3 left-handed bullpen options still. You have Jake Diekman returning. You have Aaron Bummer returning, and you might have Tanner Banks as a left-handed option. So,
no. Not if Crochet's there.
Well, if you want him starting, you got to have him in AAA. So he's not going to be able to start in the majors.
Here's the problem though. So say Crochet's not starting.
He's not.
So then you've got Cease, Kopech, Giolito, and then you've got 2 open spots. Who's starting?
Wait, you said Giolito, Cease, Lynn, Kopech. You have 1 open spot.
Giolito, Cease, Kopech. You've got 2 open spots, right?
Lynn's here.
Okay, Lynn, I guess. Who's filling your other spot? Are you signing somebody?
Yes. Like I said, we all wanted to be Carlos Rodon, but we all know that's not going to happen. So we're going to probably have to go the cheaper route.
Yeah.
So,
why not a package?
I mean, I get it, but I don't know. I'm on the idea of this I think Brian's got the right idea here. You've got Jimmy Lambert, you've got Garrett Crochet, you've got an influx of guys that you could swap out starts with as a 5th starter. I mean, why wouldn't you do that and then go spend the money elsewhere? Because if this is the case, if you're not going to start either of these guys on a regular rotation, then you have to go spend money on a starter, right? And the White Sox, I feel like, have bigger needs.
Yeah, I mean, you can go that route. If Giolito bounces back and you have 4 dominant starters and Kopech gets a 3rd pitch, that could work out. I still would like to get a better option than Crochet, Lambert, Davis Martin to be the 5th starter, but if they want to improve in second base, left field, the eventful bullpen reinforcement, that might be the route they go. They might just, go with what they got it for the 5th spot.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I'm laughing at some of the comments.
He's got more hair there than his head.
Yes. Remind us again, Carrie. I do have to comment on a comment that has strolled through from our guy, Senor Sox. Just in general, who would you prefer to be the White Sox manager going into 2023? If you had your first choice on who's available as a manager and who you think is applying for a manager position or who already has applied for a manager position, who's your first choice, Jordan?
To build off a Cedric Sox question, so we have 1 Latin candidate in Joe Espada. We have 1 African American candidate in Ron Washington, who are as options for White Sox managers.
Did Ron Washington actually interview?
He did.
I don't think he did, but he's been like a...
Well, per rumors, he's interviewed.
Yeah, he's talked to them. For me, it's Joe Espada, for sure. If you listen to the Sock Machine podcast, he made the prop Jeff Blum. And so Joe Espada does a great job of prepping Dusty Baker with stats and analytics prior to games. And that's something that this organization needs to get better at, and embracing analytics, not having, someone like Shelly Duncan, who's like a nepotism hire to do your analytics. I don't know what he does. I don't know if he knows anything about analytics. So, and he said to be really good with the players. I think he connect well with the majority of the Latinos part of our team. Mancada, Aloy, um, Robert, that's Grandal. That's the makeup of our team for the most part. So I think he connect well. He's more in tune with the game. But the unfortunate part is we have to see what happens with the Astros because they're on a war path right now. They haven't lost yet in the playoffs, and the rumor is that the Astros will try to bring back Dusty Baker. But if they win the World Series, he may just retire, and then Espada gets the job and just stays there because he already has a team that's talented and ready to do it again. So, but he's also been floated as a possibility for the Marlins. So, and he started coaching there, so that could happen too. Or we could hire Steve's armpit hair to be the manager.
You absolutely could. So you haven't told me. You told me, you ran me through all the guys. Who's your ideal guy, Jordan?
It is Joe Espada.
That's the correct answer. I mean, in my opinion, I think Joe Espada is absolutely the guy for the
or
job.
Joe Girardi.
Of course, you think Ozzy's the guy, Gary. You're so old school. Tell us about your old school mentality and how you need to bunt guys in from third with one out.
Go ahead. Absolutely love bunting. No, my guy would probably be Joe Espada too. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, right? I mean, I want a guy from a winning organization that's not like, like I wouldn't mind people from Cleveland. I wouldn't mind people from the Dodgers. So I don't know.
For sure, picking from winning organizations is nice, right? I mean, you've got literally dudes that are lined up. I mean, you've got Joe Espada, you've got Matt. Remind me of the last name. Quadraro. Thank you. The bench coach from.
Not surprised you can't read.
I wouldn't hate him I wouldn't hate him being hired either.
I'm not reading. I'm pulling off of memory. Both of those guys would be fantastic options, I think, for this organization. I think if they try to go internal, I think if they try to go with somebody that's been in this organization before, an Ozzie Guillen, even a Willie Harris. And I don't think Willie Harris would be, Sandy Alomar. I don't know. It doesn't settle right with me. I think something needs to change within the culture of the organization. I think they really need to shake it up. I think they really need to reach from the outside and go in. Right. And that's not a knock on what Willie Harris could do with the organization. That's not a knock on what Sandy Alomar, which I don't think he's leaving, what he could do with the organization. I think they just need to. I mean, either of those guys I think would be solid. I just think they need to reach outside. I think they need a total culture shakeup. And ultimately, I don't think that necessarily starts with manager. I think that starts with the whole entire organization. I mean, I think they need to change up the training staff. I think they need to change up the GM, obviously. I think they need to change up the entire coaching staff when it comes to hitting coach. I mean, I'm cool with Ethan Katz, but like hitting coach, bench coach, base coaches, I think all that needs to be changed. And I hope, honestly, with a manager change, all of that comes too. I mean, you guys could think otherwise, but go ahead and tell me if you think
I have a quick question. Do you think there'll be backlash if the White Sox hire somebody like Sandy Alomar or Willie Harris because they have ties to the White Sox? Like, will that come up and people be upset about that?
I don't think
I'd be okay with either of those guys, but
I don't think as much as AJ Brzezinski or Jim Thome, because those two guys at least have experience coaching. So they, Willie Harris did a lot of minor league coaching. Yeah, his first job was with the Dash and I think the Voyagers they used to be in our farm system when Jerry Reinsdorf gave him the job. He got that job gifted him from Jerry Reinsdorf, but he went on with the Reds, and he was the Rooney interview in 2020 to be the minority interview to be the Rooster runner up to get the courtesy interview, and then he went on to be the third base coach for the Cubs. So there's there's experience there, and then Sandy Alomar, who's been coaching on the Guardians bench for a little bit. So I think it's better because all AJ's been doing is been doing pretty mediocre broadcasts in the booth, and all Jim Tomey has done is really just kind of helped Gavin Sheets and Andrew Vaughn be hitters as a team ambassador and does the MLB Network stuff, and really, so I mean it'd be better than those two, but I still don't want it. There's better options.
Fair enough. Gary, do you have any questions for our friend Jordan here as we start to wrap this thing up at the 35-minute mark?
Man, that went by fast.
It did indeed. No, I mean, I don't really have any more questions. I'd say, what is? I'll give you a question. What is your prediction for the AL Central next year? Right. So, are the White Sox gonna bounce back and win? Right, have a good offseason, or does Cleveland build on what they have? We know they won't spend in free agency, but do they build on what they have, or do the Twins figure something out? Like, what do you think happens? Because I think the Sox, this division is still very much easily obtainable next year, but what do you think?
I think this division is wide open outside of the Kansas City Royals because the Tigers got a new GM this offseason, so you don't know what they're going to do. He's from the Giants organization, so they could easily get in the mix as well too. But I think it's between really the Guardians, the Twins, and the White Sox. And like I said, as long as the core players bounce back, and who else bounces back, we could easily be in contention, just like we were in 2021 and 2020. You do need to have, a fruitful offseason and make moves to make this team better. And you need to get the right manager in here as well too to set up the culture and set up the mentality about, no more of telling players not to hustle, no more of not holding players accountable. I mean, we saw what this team was when La Russa left the dugout and Cairo took over. This team got a little bit better, then fell apart once the Guardians season came around. If we would have done that back in June, I think this team would have had a shot to, be competitive with the Guardians. Just did a little bit too late, and a month was not enough time for this team to turn it around. So yeah, it's all about, doing things that make sense in the off season, establishing a new culture with your coaching staff, and yeah, get a new training staff as well. These soft tissue injuries are killing me, and really, we can't have that anymore.
I absolutely agree with you,
more.
Jordan. I absolutely agree with you. Training staff is a huge issue within this organization, and it has been ever since. I hate to pin it on one specific situation, but ever since Herb Schneider left, right? Yep. I mean, like, it just seems like this training organization, or within the organization, the training staff is just absolutely falling apart. So it's just an absolute bummer to see guys with so much potential, right? The Luises, even Yasmani Grandal, Aloy, Yohan, Tim at the end of the year, right? And Tim is a little bit more preventable, but so many guys that have gone down with injuries that you would hate to see go down with injuries, things that may be helped with strength and conditioning that have not been. So I would love to see that shaken up as well. And I think you bring up a valid point there. And yes, the GM issue is a big issue. The manager issue is finally solved. Hopefully the entire coaching staff issue is solved with the manager issue. So I don't know what will get tied with that, but I'm really hoping so. So kudos to Alex Rude for bringing that up. I know he needs a little nod to up his ego. So any final thoughts from anybody else that's here with us on the airwaves? Jordan, Carey?
And Rick, how do we trust? Because we have no choice.
Oh, yuck. I hate that idea.
I hate
it. I was literally on my other podcast earlier this morning and said,
I just
can't even
to it.
say in Han we trust. Thank you for listening. I can't even say in Han we trust. I hate it so much.
I hate saying it too, but what choice do we have?
It's a valid point. I mean, go out. and just be ballsy. Go fucking be ballsy. It's honestly, it feels like the last year of your window. So
I think we'll have a pretty good idea whoever the manager is will have an idea, because if they go out and get Espada or Quartaro, it might mean they do the right things with the coaching staff and free agency and whatnot. But they bring in someone like Isaac Ian, Jim Tomey, we're in for more of the same or worse.
fair enough. Carrie,
Agreed.
final thoughts as we wrap up this episode.
I love you, Jordan.
I love you too,
That's
Gary.
all.
I love it. The hatchet is buried. Thank you so much,
Shut up,
everybody, for
TM
joining
Steve.
in. What can I say? TM Steve here, out on the airwaves. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you in the live comments. We appreciate you joining us afterward on the podcast airwaves. You can subscribe to us anywhere. You can subscribe to us on YouTube in the live comments. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to us on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you do so. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out. It's Believe in the South Side.